Hi, everybody. Welcome to Tea Time with Amy and Bev. We're back. I have a story. So the other night, home by myself, my husband is in visiting our son, Tennessee. And so when I go to bed, I've made it a practice every night that as I'm settling into the bed and getting all cozy, that I'll lay there for a moment and call in Archangel Michael to put a blue bubble over the home and just watch over us as our bodies rest. And I ask that there's angels at all the doors and windows and near our vehicles, and that only the higher vibrational beings can come near our home with the highest and best intentions. So something along those lines. And then I visualize that the archangel's blue bubble just spreads out over our city and then of course around the world. Um so I've gotten quite comfortable being at home by myself, and especially having this practice. And I noticed that anytime, even when I'm walking around, like I've been home by myself a few nights, that if I start to feel any sense of fear for whatever reason, maybe I hear a noise outside or something, I just call him in. I'm like, no, well, nope. Archangel Michael's with me. I'm good. We're good. All is good. And I just see that blue bubble. And so anyway, it's been my practice for a while. And so the other night when I went to bed, I've shared before that I typically listen to subliminals. So I have little earbuds in my head, and it's on a lower volume where I can still hear it, but it's not overpowering. And so I settle in and I know I fell asleep and the volume went high. And of course, it jolted me out of my sleep. I was like, what in the heck? So I reached over and now I'm awake, right? So now I got to settle back in. So I just went ahead and left him in, turned the volume way down, and I'm laying there and again, all cozy, probably about ready to doze off. And the volume goes straight up again. I was like, okay, guys, I got to work tomorrow. I can't play this game tonight. I need to go to sleep. So I took the things out, set them next to me and went to sleep. And then it was before my alarm went off. I at some point before my alarm went off, I had rolled over on my other side. So I'm facing the edge of the bed and I'm laying there and I could feel as if somebody sat on the edge of the bed. Like you just feel that sinking of the mattress. I'm like, oh, well, that's interesting. And so I was laying there and just thinking about it. And so this was around October 12th, 14, somewhere in there. And I'm like, I wonder who that could be. And I just let it go. And I thought, well, it'll come to me if it's meant to be. And then as I woke up and everything, I was thinking, well, my grandmother's transition date is coming up, but that didn't feel right. Like I didn't think it was her, even though her transition date was coming up. So like, yeah, it could be, but I don't feel like that's it. So then later on in the day, a friend of mine was telling me this big, huge, long story and different components of it. And it was like there was a correlation. There was something that was happening with her early in the morning, which would have been around the same time I was having my experience. And it was just like that felt right. And I just was like, wow, this is so cool. So it was just a fun story I wanted to share, that spirit will get their message across in some way to somebody, and who knows how or when, so, and who's paying attention, right? So anyway.
Yeah. And that's interesting. My daughter one of my daughters went to California to watch one of her friends. He's a Marine, and he was having in a fight. So she watched that, but she walked up to met one of the persons afterwards, and she, you know how you'll shake a hand, but she put her hand around the outside of it. And she says, I have never done that. I don't know why I did it. And it's like, we can't, you can question it and you can ask yourself, but I felt like it was because the other person needed it. It had nothing to do with her. It was the way that spirit can move through, because that gave that other person comfort from somebody that has done the same thing to them that's not in their life right now. So it's like, we don't understand why we do the things that we do, but it's just follow through on it.
Yeah.
Because when you follow through, you don't know, and you may never know how you had an effect on somebody else. And that, I got goosebumps. So it's like when you were talking about that, it was for the other person. It wasn't even that this person or this spirit wanted to reach out, and it was not going to be quiet, and knew how to affect digital devices, because some of them do.
Yeah.
They've learned how to do that.
I
So
knew that. That's why it was just like, okay, you guys. I don't know
yeah.
right now, but I just can't do this right now.
And it's so cool. It's communication. So it kind of goes along with what I was saying, like on the last video. When we go to the next video, we're going to talk about this. So I was talking about my grandson, and I told him some of the ways that I've learned how to communicate with bugs and insects and things that are around me. I do it with the cows, I do it with everything, but I'll see them in my mind's eye. So like yesterday, we had a big yellow jacket that was flying around. And so I would see it in my mind's eye. And it's like I showed it, I was going to bring it banana, because I thought they like bananas. And I looked it up, and it says they do like, but they like ripened bananas. And I like to give things food, but put the food in the areas that it's, it's away from us. And so that's what we did. So I just showed him that, to do that. So now he can do the same thing, but I do it all the time because well, a couple of videos back, I had a tarantula that kind of, kind of gave me some messages or whatever. And then I had a few days later, I had some ants coming to me, and I would see him the same way that I'm sending them the message. And I'm just sharing because this is how I'm experiencing it. But they'll pop into my mind's eye. So if I'm receiving a communication from the tarantula or whatever, or from the cow, or from my dog, from another dog, they'll pop into my mind's eye. I don't see them with my physical eyes, but I'll see them inside my head. And then I know that there's something coming on, and then I'll hear like something subtle. It might be my own voice. It might be, it's not even my own voice. It's like this information just comes in, like it's like a knowing. It's like this information just is there, and then I'm kind of putting the pieces together, kind of like you were. You put the pieces together from the sound, your volume going up 2 times. Weird. Feeling something sitting on the end of the bed before your alarm goes off. So knowing that it's not going to disrupt now. Because you said, I need to get some sleep. So I'm going to sleep now. And it waited till just almost before your alarm's going off, because it's like, well, your time's up. And I already know you're going to get up anyways, because they know everything. But this communication comes in so easily and so subtly. It's just exactly like what you're describing. And it's just like sending the same message. So if I see the wasp in my mind's eye, then I see in my mind's eye like the food that I'm going to bring it, and then I'll show in my mind's eye where I'm going to place it to the wasp or whatever. And it's just a fun thing. It's just a way of practicing communication. Whether it works or not, it doesn't matter. You're practicing. You're being in an awareness. You're being quiet. You're feeling your feels, right? Because we talked about in the last video about being feelers. We're feelers. We are. Not everybody is, but everybody can be. They can tune into that stuff. It's just subtle stuff. And then once it starts getting your attention, it changes everything. Because I've talked about the selenite tower, which is so funny. I didn't even think about it, but I stuck it in my pocket. It's a pretty big stone. But I'm wearing sweats, but so come on. But anyways, just picking up a selenite tower, that was when I found out I was a feeler. I didn't know I was a feeler until then. It's probably about 15 years ago.
Yeah. Cool. I have a
And then,
I have a friend who went to Korea, and she's a person who's very busy in her head. And she was like beside herself when she was telling us about Korea, her experience in Korea, that she's like, it is so quiet there. It is so quiet. You can hear your thoughts. It is just so quiet. But she's like,
that's awesome.
in public places, no, in public places here, we're having conversations, even if we're on our cell phone, we're all into the conversation. Even in the gym, people are on there. That anyway, I won't go there, but that kind of is irritating. But anyway, but we just are loud, so to speak. She goes there when they're in a public place and they're on the phone, they will be like cover their mouth and talk real soft into the phone. She's like on the subway and all that. It's silence. She's like, everywhere you go, it is so quiet. And she was just amazed. And, it's like things like that for some people, like you and I, we've practiced meditation. We've been in spaces where we recognize what the quietness does for us and the benefits of it. But somebody who is on a still all wrapped up in their head space and their thoughts and the to-do lists and the family and all the things, to go from one extreme to the other and notice that difference. We all get our lesson in some way. And so this was her way of seeing the difference, like busyness compared to quiet. Well, she really enjoyed the quiet. Now it's up to her to figure out how is she going to bring that experience into her life here. Right. And one of the things she did, she was telling us, she didn't correlate it to this story, but one of the things she did, she's got a grandbaby, and that grandbaby is now mobile. And she's just like, this, for me to do this on a regular basis, too much. Like, I just can't. And so she had the conversation with her daughter. So there's one, right? There's one thing that she did for herself to be like, mm-hmm. I just can't do this all the time. Like, I need some space. I need some quiet. I need some. So she didn't correlate the two with her experience in Korea, but she is recognizing that there are things that would be important for her to change or implement so that she can have that experience more often.
And something that flashed in my mind when you said that, because coming back here, I've gone to places, Mexico, where it's peaceful, it's a different flow. And then you come back into the United States, and I'm thinking the United States is almost like the land of all these children that need to be seen and heard. You go to the grocery store and the conversations are loud. She just went to a place. These people don't need to be seen and heard by everybody else.
Right.
They don't. But here in the US, we have a lot of people that need to be seen and heard. A lot of kids that were not seen and heard growing up. And so now we're all out there for these competitions. You go to the grocery store and the freaking music's loud. You go to the pharmacies, everything's got noise going on. So you're getting louder to be over it. There's like everybody wants to be seen and heard. Everybody wants to be seen and heard. And we don't realize that we're all a bunch of kids here. And the ones that need to see us and hear us are us.
Yeah.
We need to see and hear ourselves. We need to see and hear, how do we respond? Why do we show up that way? Because this is the stuff I've been doing. Why am I responding that way? Oh, that's an old pattern. Oh, well, now I just saw my 4-year-old self. We don't need to continue this anymore. How could it be different? So it's like all these things that happen, but we're in that's what came to my head. We're in the land of children that need to be seen and heard.
Yep.
Crazy.
We're all kicking and screaming, wanting to be seen and heard. And then there's the introverts that want to be seen and heard, but don't want the attention. So we're very confused.
It is. Well, it is, because that's how I grew up, and that's how you grew up. We were familiar with that zone. So
yeah.
And for me, the only way to step out of that zone at that time was with alcohol. So that was how I could express myself.
Yeah. But yeah, and then with the people that were in the group having a conversation, I was like, I traveled from where I live to San Diego, about 4.5 hour drive, with nothing on, no music, no podcast, no, it was just quiet. And it was me with my thoughts, and my thoughts being just going over, not a shoulda, coulda, woulda type of conversation, just a reflection time, like reflection or seeing what information would come to me for things to do as far as my business or anything else. Like it was just very enjoyable just to be in silence and be with me. Now, 20 years ago, I didn't like to be with me. So for me to want to be with me in silence and have um, positive or enjoyable conversation with myself was it was a great it was great. I loved it. And then, like the organization I'm in, we travel to go to different areas for meetings and stuff. And people are like, oh, you want a carpool? I'm like, no, no, I do not. I'm very selfish in that way. But then there's times that I will. I did carpool with some people, but this time, this last meeting I went to in Flagstaff, 2.5 hour drive. I loved it. It's just me and just I don't have to worry or think about having a conversation with somebody and just me. And I enjoy that.
I do too. When I was going through massage school, I would drive back and forth from Phoenix to Kingman. And so not every weekend, but a lot of weekends. And it's like, I enjoyed it. I didn't listen to music. That was the time. That was when I started traveling without listening to anything at all, which was interesting. It's nice to listen to music at home and stuff like that. But when I get into the vehicle, I'll turn off the music on my phone and just go back to silence again. Sometimes I'll listen to podcasts.
Yeah. I listen to podcasts too a lot, especially when I'm getting ready for work.
Times, and we're not multitasking, because if my attention's on my music, then my attention's on my music. How much am I giving my attention to the road or to the environment that's around me? I don't, am I missing out on the bird that's flying over on the side, or the elk or whatever? There's always so much going on, but it's really being in that space of awareness. And for me, it's not having any music on. It's just being able to look at everything. It's allowing the thoughts that come in. Now I might sing in my head, because that's when for me, that's when the songs would come in, and that's when the messages would come in, because that's how I would hear the messages a lot of times. It would be in through a verse from a song, not a complete song, but just a verse.
Yeah, I do that too. And then I'm like, and what's that mean? Why am I hearing this? Why am I singing? Like, you go into question mode, like, wait, what is the relevance
What's this all about?
words?
Yeah. But that's us being inquisitive like children, honestly, to be in that presence of being an awareness that popped up and not ignoring it and pushing it aside. Not you have a knowledge of the 444. So when you see it, you kind of got you generally know what's going on. It gives you an idea what this is all about. Yeah. So it's just that familiarity with it. So
and in the moment, in the silence, the quiet, is when the messages come. That's when the easiest to interact with spirit. That's when we can feel or sense them. That's when the information drops in. That's when we can feel those sensations. Like you can smell the sense of your grandma's cookies, even though she's not in the room, or your grandpa's cologne, or your dad's cigarette smoke. Like those are the moments, and it happens in silence. To me, that's where it's at. And they're
popping all the time.
And I would think just my perception is people of an Asian descent are in tune with all of that. It's no different like the Aborigines. There are tribes that still communicate telepathically. Well, that means they're silent within themselves.
Which I've been practicing a lot more, or I'm in that space a lot more. And I would say, because I just asked one of the kids recently, do you notice that you're receiving more and more information telepathically? So at home here, I'm constantly noticing things, and then I'll give confirmations to Freeman if he says something that I'll say, hey, just so you know, this popped into my head a second ago. So I don't know if it came from you first, but like we're having all this stuff that's happening around us all the time. And then the only way that I can be with it is to be in awareness with it, to kind of flow with it, to kind of grow with it. And yeah, but it's all the time. It's all the time. And it's not just with him. that quietness here at home has helped me to be able to do it everywhere else too.
Yep. I agree. I do that a lot with the couple people at work where there's a wall between me and my boss, and I'll be like, oh, I gotta go share this with her. And I'll go share something with her, and she's like, oh my God, I was just thinking the same thing. Like
Yep.
that happens a lot.
That's what I'm talking about. And I just, I think it's good to mention because I feel like a lot of people are going through it right now, and now they can actually put more attention to it and notice it even more. Like, and notice how your life just gets better with all this information that's coming forward. It just it's kind of like a little bit of hindsight. It really is. Because then when you go back, when you go in there and you're like, oh, and that it's just wonderful. It's wonderful to be able to share from that capacity.
Yeah. Yep.
There's no words. It's neutral. There's no attachments. There's no, it's just, it's a good space. It's a good space. And I mention that only because some people will say, well, how do I know? What if something is trying to contact me and it doesn't feel good? Right there is your answer. If it doesn't feel good, that's not what you want to have a communication with. Because I will tell you, every time I get information, it's neutral. It's not from a scary space or anything. My mind can get kind of crazy sometimes, and it can like be like, what about this? And it's like, what the hell? Like, here's your Rubik's Cube, go play. No, it's not.
Right.
But to me, that's just another way of distracting us from why I'm here. That's just my mind trying to overthink things or find ways of navigating the world that's not even real anymore. And not real in the space of I'm not 3 years old, I'm not 5 years old, I'm not even 8 years old.
Yeah. We're a little ways from that, aren't we?
Just a little bit, just a couple minutes from it.
Yep. And so finding the tools that will help quiet the headspace, quiet the thoughts. There's so much information on available, free information that's available. And Bev and I both do this kind of work where we coach people. So either reach out to us to work with us or get free content that's on, we call it YouTube University, right? All the stuff that's on there, and just be sure that you're aware of what feels good to you as far as who the teacher is, who's instructing you, who's giving you guidance, who's coaching you. Make sure their voice, their tone, their words, that type of thing resonates with you. Don't force yourself to be with somebody that is uncomfortable, and you will know that through how you feel about it, how their behavior and words feel to you. So just keep those in mind as you're seeking somebody to work with, if that's your path. So any other words you have of wisdom?
Just knowing that we all feel, you may not be feeling it right now, but it's just a training ground. We can all do it, but a lot of us have been ignoring ourselves. We've been ignoring the feels.
Yeah.
We've been ignoring our emotions. So it's part of a process. So be easy on yourself. You're on the right track, and we'll see you again soon.
Yeah. And you're okay.
You're okay.
Right where you're at. It's life. It's life. All right, friends. If this conversation resonated with you, be sure you're resourceful with others, because they're having the same conversations and they're looking for the information. And you can be the one to share the content or share the links, share the books, whatever it is, whatever's resonating with you. Let others know. We're here to help each other on this planet and to help us each move through life with more ease. So if you want to be resourceful with our content, we're found on many platforms. Of course, we're on YouTube. If this is where you found us, we're on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Spreaker, Spotify, and Podcast Addict. And you're benefiting the speakers, the teachers, the coaches, the guides, the influencers by sharing their content with others. So with that, thanks for hanging out with us. Tea Time with Amy and Bev, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.